You know, the Bible is full of promises of God's care and protection. For example, Psalm 121 puts it like this: "The Lord himself watches over you. The Lord stands beside you as your protective shade. The Lord keeps you from all harm and watches over your life. The Lord keeps watch over you as you come and go, both now and forever." Now, how seriously can we take promises like that? After all, God allows people to go through some very difficult things in life. So how absolutely can we believe those claims? I mean, can we just stand in front of a car on the freeway and expect that God is going to keep us from harm? Well, I don't think anybody thinks that God is promising that. Well, in that case, then, what can we really believe, or what can we really count on from God in the difficult things that happen in life? Now, I don't believe biblically that God promises to give us a trouble-free life, to keep us comfortable and to keep things going easy all the time. But I have experienced that there's a depth to God's care in life when those difficult things come, as they surely will, that there's a depth to God's care that goes beyond mere physical well-being. You see, in 2003, my wife Nancy was diagnosed with cancer. And she had a very difficult surgery and went through chemotherapy and radiation therapy. And thankfully, after a few months, she was declared cancer-free. But then the cancer came back in 2011. And so, was God really taking care of her? Was God really watching over her? I mean, the Psalm says that God will keep us from harm. God allowed her to die from a horrible disease at a very early age. Well, I'm convinced that God really was watching over us, and there's some evidence of that I've seen that I wanted to share with you to give you hope and encouragement in your own struggles, in your own challenges. Now, first of all, verse 8 says that He will watch over us both now and forever. So don't forget there's a forever dimension to this. And Nancy had every confidence in her eternal standing with God. She knew she belonged to Jesus. And so even though we prayed for healing, she knew that even if God did not heal in this life, that ultimately she'd be healed in the life to come. And then in this life, God gave her just incredible peace during the whole ordeal. She never had doubts and questions about why me. She never faltered in her trust in God's goodness in her life. And then God gave her amazing strength to get through the challenges. Even though she was weaker and weaker physically, she just had this great inner strength that came from God. And then God blessed us with so many amazing people and loving relationships. And I know I don't take that for granted, because not everybody might experience that. So many people just took care of us in so many ways. A number of our friends, just dozens of our friends, came over and stood in our front lawn. We didn't really know that this was going to happen, and we looked out the window and we noticed one by one these people were coming into our front lawn, and they were lighting candles, and all these dozens of friends stood on our lawn with candles, singing songs of worship, songs of heaven, and praying for us. And Nancy was able to come over to the window and watch all of this happening, and she felt like it was just a divine kiss that night. She felt like it was an embrace of heaven on her spirit that night. It was a blessed event. And so I really do believe God was watching over us and taking care of us during that time, that whole difficult time. Yeah, it was hard. It was super hard. But God was there. He was real. He was present. And just like the Psalm says, that He was like a protective shade over us. And so I want to encourage you that God really does keep His promises, that God really does care for the people who belong to Him.